Hey guys, happy Friday! It is actually, that was my voice going out a little bit. My allergies are so bad. I think it's all the storms, but it's good because I'm not having to water the yard. It is September 11th, and that is really sad. Every time we go see Alan Jackson at rodeo, he plays this song, Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? I think that's the name of it. I shared it on my Facebook today. Every time I hear that song, I just get chills. Every time Justin and I see him in concert, which is pretty much every time he comes at rodeo, we both get really teary-eyed when we listen to it. September 11th, I was still in high school, and I think it was Justin and I hadn't met face-to-face yet. I think we did shortly after. I'll have to ask him. I get the years so mixed up when we met the actual year. Anyway, because we talked for a couple years on the internet before we ever met. So I remember being in high school, and my dad was dropping me off at school early because I had to make up a test. And as I was getting out of the car, they said something about the first plane hitting the World Trade Center because he always listens to talk radio. But I'm sure any radio station, they broke in with that news. Right as I was getting out of the car, I was like, Dad, what does that mean? He was like, it means I need to go to work. He just told me to keep my phone with me all day. So when you're the daughter, I guess probably of a military person, firefighter, police officer, there's this usually a family plan. At least most the people I know have a family plan. We always had a family plan in case of terrorism, a natural disaster, stuff like that, to go to our family farm. And since we were little, my parents would always tell us, if something happens, Daddy can't go with us because he has to help and protect other people. So whenever something like that would happen, and I get this fear in the back of my head, anytime something happens, first responders, all those people, they have to be on the front lines. So, and then everyone was worried. It's just a prepared emergency standby kind of thing, because I remember at the time everyone was worried because Houston has the ship channel. We're so big, and, nobody knew what was going on because it was, happening in different places, the Pentagon, the field in Pennsylvania. So anyway, all right. So I go to my class, and it's right kind of near the entrance. I'm sitting there, and my teacher is freaking out, rightfully so. She's freaking out. Her son worked at the World Trade Center. He ended up being okay. I don't remember if it was he didn't work that day usually, or if he was on vacation or something, but she didn't know that at the time. So she's watching the news and had it on, watching it, freaking out. There are other teachers in there, and I was watching the TV because I was worried about my dad, what this meant, what's going on. And as we're watching it, the second plane hit, and then school kind of started. People were coming in, then the Pentagon, and it was just crazy. They put the school on lockdown. It was so scary, and I was calling. They didn't care if we called our families, and thank God it was cell phones had just become a thing where people you had your own cell phone. I wasn't allowed to text back then, really, because it was so expensive back in the day when they first had cell phones. Texting was I shit you not, $1 a text or something crazy like that. So it was usually we would call, and you'd have to be careful about your minutes, and it was really expensive back then. But thank God we had that technology, because then the school principal said a little later, she was we don't know what's going on. The parents can come pick their kids up. They would send that thing. I'm sure they still do that. Rolf does not like the story, where they send like a message out, like a recorded message to the phone numbers of all the parents at once. So they did that. But I called my Nana. My Nana called me, and she was like, I'm coming to get you. And then your mom's going to leave work. And because we were like, we might have to go to the farm. But then, nothing else. Like, later in the day, we could all kind of calm down because, like, it seemed like that was it. So we didn't have to leave. But I remember it was so scary because at that point, there hadn't been a lot that things had happened that would have been like, this could have been the thing they've been preparing me for since I was little, where we leave without my dad, or, so it was really scary. I remember I got home. My Nana took me home, and at first thing I did was I got on the computer. I was like, please let him be on, please let him be online. I got on AOL Instant Messenger, and Justin was online, and we talked, and I felt better. And I feel like that maybe it was a following December. I don't know. I might have to ask him. We ended up meeting, but it kind of was this thing where, like, up until that point, we had this period where we stopped talking. I don't know. It was kind of like we both had feelings for each other, but it was weird because we lived so far apart at the time. He lived like 45 minutes away, but it was like when you're in high school and internet dating wasn't really a thing. It was like, what can we really do? We would date other people, and then that would be hurtful. And so we had this gap where we didn't talk. And then the September 11th is the thing that got us to start talking more and more again every day like we used to. And then we met and ended up dating. So, but every time I hear that song, I think about that, like where I was that day. Like, where were you guys that day? Like, what were you doing? I feel like that's just one of those things when you have like grandkids and they learn about it in school. It's one of those really sad things in history that they'll ask us about. So I'm getting all like a lump in my throat. It's just sad to think about all the lives lost that day. So anyway, it's Friday and I'm doing laundry, and that's all that's really going on right now. One of my Dollar Tree pens, the new ones I've been obsessed with, exploded on me when I was writing a card. That was cool. So I just talked to Justin, and I was telling him that I was telling you guys about 9/11 and all that. And I was like, it was a 2001 or 2000. I'm so bad at math, but you look like with the way the screen went like that. Look how big your head looks. Does mine do that? Weird. Okay, anyway, so ADD. I was telling him, he was like, yeah, it was 2001. So September 11th happened. We hadn't been talking. And then I guess we both kind of freaked out and like, oh, life's short. So that was in September. And then December of that year, we decided to meet in person finally. Well, I didn't decide anything. He kind of told me it was going to happen, remember? Mm-hmm. Someone's had a bad day. He's had a rough day. And then I remembered, I'm like, you know what? You're right. Because we used to watch Nick and Jess, like their show. Nick Lachey, Jessica Simpson, when they had that show. And we actually have like all the seasons on DVD. So cheesy. You watched it with me. And we used to love Anna Nicole. We used to love the Anna Nicole show. We would go... Remember, we would get, what were they? The Dairy Queen Blizzards every Sunday. Sunday or Saturday?
That was really the only reason I watched that show with you, was for the Blizzards.
Shut up. You totally liked the show. It was entertaining. It was like a train wreck. But I did like the show. I did like Anna Nicole. I did. That's not like I said I didn't. I did like her. So anyway, we were trying to blame it on the Blizzards.
Blizzards are delicious. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I was like, you know what? You're right. Because we used to watch Nick and Jess's show. And in college, everyone's like, oh, you're just like Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey. You're so cute or whatever. And it was awkward when they broke up. I'm like, I hope we're not like that. But there was an episode where they talked about they had broke up. And then they ended up at 9/11. One of them was in New York. And so they decided, they called each other, and then they got back together and they got married. So we were like, during that episode, we are like, whoa. Because like, that's kind of the weird, like, it's sad, kind of this weird thing that triggered us deciding to meet in person. So anyway, my Blue Bears had a bad day. It had a rough day. And I don't know what we're going to do tonight. I don't know. We're going to eat as soon as dinner's done cooking, but I don't know. We decided what we're going to do tonight is Netflix and chill. Just kidding. When did that become dirty though? Like, seriously, that is not how it started out. That is not what the meaning was originally. It was literally like, do you want to come over and watch Netflix and hang out? But now if you say it, it's like announcing to the world, like when people hashtag it, that, hey, I'm gonna have sex. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, why do we have to make it dirty? Now if you hashtag it, you're just telling the world you're about to fuck. And if you don't know you're telling the world that, well, apparently that's what everyone says it means now. So, not really though. We decided we're gonna go mail some stuff where I can like go to like the electronic mailbox thing when there's not a line. And then we're just gonna go see what Redbox has and just like hang out on the couch and watch movies with the puppies. So that's what we're gonna do the rest of the night. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow because I talked a lot today. Like, I think I talked for 7 minutes earlier this morning. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye.